Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to the show. We have with us, we're going to jump right into it. We have with us um, Ally Hughes, Civil Rights. We did my interview with her, another spotlight earlier, but a lot of things done changed. We just want to catch up with her and see what she's doing now, different things of that nature. But with no further ado, let's talk to Miss Ally Hughes.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
Good.
We're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah, it's been a while since I talked to you.
Yeah. It's been a little bit. Yeah. Still moving though. Still moving. Still doing the work.
Good.
Yeah, that's good. I see you on social media, especially on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Doing a lot there.
Yeah, with COVID, you gotta us being inside so much, it can feel hard to keep the energy. And online is definitely one way to do it. So I try to utilize that as much as possible.
Yeah, I know you're a big spokesman of taking being able to have that peacetime, especially when you fighting like you fighting. And I know you do a lot of art and different things of that nature.
Yeah. I'm big on self-care because you have to have self-care days. There's a lot of work we're doing, and it's you got to take time for you.
All right, but we're going to jump right in here. Got a couple questions for you. In your opinion, what else can be done to improve civil rights issues, like what you're going through and different things of that nature as a civil rights leader? What can improve?
To improve civil rights issues. So you said what I'm going through specifically, or?
Well, just in general, like in your opinion, what can be done to improve what your mission, what you're trying to do, different things of that nature?
I would say having more reach.
Okay.
So being able to having resources to reach more people, and not just in our country, in other countries. I think a lot of things start moving quicker when you have the ear of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Having things to move quick. You want to add something?
Yeah, so with the pandemic going on, with coronavirus and having a social distance and, not being able to have that face-to-face, has that hindered anything that you're doing? Are you still able to like reach out and organize things and get things together, or how has it made it more difficult, if at all?
Oddly, it hasn't made it difficult. I'm really big on keeping the energy online and staying in touch with people. I utilize technology as much as possible. Really, you have to get creative with forms of protest, forms of direct action, and ways of reaching different politicians. You have to get creative. So I'll say that can be a struggle. But I don't know, you just have to think a little harder. But I haven't had any issues with that, which I find interesting just because you would think.
Yeah. And the summer, everyone was like physically gathering with the protests and everything. So kind of what have you been up to since now we kind of have to be inside? I mean, whether it's for a mandate and with the weather. So being inside, what kind of like things have you been doing? Like either petitions or gathering groups, or what specifically are you working on right now?
So email protests is a big digital one. Twitter storms as well. That, those are planned way in advance. And, partnering with organizations on that to make sure the reach is large. Also, city council meetings with the mayor, if it's oversight commissions or things like that, with senators, and really focusing direct actions on those city council meetings. You can have one at a city council meeting, a direct action. You don't have to be there. It can be very digital.
Oh, okay.
It can be in the way your display name. Some people, for example, the work I did, like some work in Livonia, screen name can be Black Lives Matter. It could be victims. It could be about, investing in the community. You can spread messages that way. You can do chants as well. Also, those city council meetings, if you look at the views on YouTube, there's like over 10,000 views of these council meetings. So it's getting the ear of people. So you got to keep the particulars in mind and be strategic. So it's that. It's also making statements, making the same statement together. So like everyone makes the same statement, and that adds to the impact. The number of people there at the council meeting adds to the impact. They look at those numbers and see, oh, it's a lot of people at this one, you know. So it's really been, my efforts have really been focused on city council meetings, doing direct actions through that, or you know, meeting with different politicians on the local level, and also digital protests.
Yeah. How do you feel that you're being received when you go to these meetings? Do you feel like they actually care and that they're actively trying to work on making a difference? Or you're just like, okay, you know, people complaining about things, people want things. Do you feel like it's well received? Do you feel like the message is actually getting through and that they actually care about these issues?
It depends on the area. I know a lot of my work now is Dearborn. Dearborn and, you know, Oakland County as well. And Dearborn, I would say, is getting the ear of some. Not enough, I feel. They definitely know who we are.
Okay.
They definitely know my voice and my name. If I call the city clerk, they're like, oh, I know you, you know. They know all of us.
Well, that's good. That's a start.
Yeah.
That is
the
a
word
start.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have seen shifts in, you know, their alertness and things like that, and willingness to answer, and what will get them to answer. Yeah, so yeah, it's a little bit like pulling teeth at times, but we have some council members that are leaning our way.
Okay, good.
Well, how do you feel about our country? As far as being up under the Biden and Harris administration?
First, I'll say I'm happy with the election results. Glad that we were able to come together and get Biden and Harris elected.
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, there's always things I feel could be better under his administration, but I feel like the direction we're headed in is right.
Yeah.
Like it's what it should be right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say in terms of like the Senate chamber, I am concerned about that. Georgia specifically today, I know there was some rallying going on Trump's behalf.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can, or Georgia can rally and secure those spots and make sure that, you know, the right parties have the chamber in control.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd definitely be nice. Go ahead.
And so as a woman, so, you know, all of us women are like, we're like rooting, or Kamala Harris is in here. So as a woman, especially a woman of color, how important is this win for her? And like, what does that mean to you? And what do you see with, you know, happening with that?
Oh, no, I love it. Absolutely love it. That's the best.
Yeah.
And, you know, her way in the debates with Pence, absolutely love that too.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, I love what she's doing. And, you know, the way she speaks, her, just everything completely. I'm a bit of a fan with that. Her chief of staff, who she chose for that, like, I absolutely love it, and I want to see make sure women's rights and Black women in particular, those issues are brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
I feel like Biden, he may not have got a lot of votes if it wasn't for her being his vice.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I know quite a few people who were like, I'm voting, but I'm voting because of her.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, I like that she said that to her in that position, it shows that it's possible. So from here, we could have our first woman president, more women of color in Senate and Congress. So I like that she said that it just makes it possible. So, you know, for us, that's super important. Like, okay, you know, even if it's a long shot, like it can happen.
Yeah.
So,
And it's amazing. And I'm, you know, in hopes that I would like to see a Black woman that is president. I feel like it's coming though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we can change Michelle Obama's mind. She needs to stop playing.
I think they done. I wish. I'm like, oh, please.
Oh, that would be nice.
Someone.
Her and Kamala Harris to have both of them in there.
Oh, that would be great. No, I would love that. Absolutely.
Talking about growth in America.
Man, yeah.
Because for me, it's the Supreme Court I'm worried about in terms of women's rights.
Yeah.
Because one thing I always say when I introduce myself in my activism, you know, a woman's body is not a group discussion. That's always something I say. It's always an argument. You know, it's always an argument, abortion rights or you know, or just a woman's body, period. So I am glad to see Kamala Harris there. And hopefully if the Supreme Court does discuss those things, she can make sure that they're discussed in the right way.
Yeah.
I like how she said they was at the interview of CNN and she said that we're in a partnership. And I like how she made that distinction. Like, don't just look at me like, oh, she the vice president and that's it. She made it very clear, like, hey, we in this together. You know, don't be looking at me like, oh, you ain't nobody but the vice president.
Yeah, her chair is right next to his. It's not second chair.
She made that very very clear. I was laughing when she said, I like that.
Me too, yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, you know, because it's like, you know, in a sense, it's like when you think of women in leadership, America's never had a female president. A lot of other countries have had, you know, women that's
leaders. You got the queen. You got all. You know, you have.
We the only one. We like the only
one for some reason.
One of the only. Like we're behind in that. You just seen that with Hillary when she ran. It was so much against her just because she was a woman. So her making that clear is important because often the way we see a woman in office is second to the first lady, second to the president. So that distinction was needed.
Yeah. So amid the controversy of Kamala Harris's skin tone, which I'm sure all of us have heard, like she's not Black enough or she doesn't claim her Black side, which she never, you know, that I've seen, she's never denied either side. She embraces both sides of her family. How have you been affected by colorism in your own community, if at all? Has that affected you at any point, or have you felt that? Have you, you know, sensed that at all?
Yes. Yes. With family, friends. Yeah, it's a problem, period. Colorism is something that's all over the world.
Oh yeah.
And depending where you are on the spectrum, it's worse or, you know, not as bad.
Yeah.
I know for me, one thing that's always been like said was like, in terms of like in the Black community, like being in the sun too long, skin being too dark, that's been like a constant conversation I've heard in my family. And, you know, me, I used to think, okay, like, oh, should I not be in the sun too long? Should I not do this? Like, and I used to think that when I was younger. And as I got older and started looking into it more and started thinking and just doing my own self-analysis, I'm like, this is not right.
Yeah.
This is embedded in us because of racism. You know, Black is beautiful in all shades. So yeah, I'm in my personal life with my family and within my community, I try to make sure I remind everybody of that. I've also seen it with siblings, you know, having siblings that are light skinned, you know, different things that happen to them in school. other classmates might say things or be jealous or assume a certain thing because they are light skinned. So again, it's just about educating each other and making sure we have those conversations with each other to stop that, because we really need to band together. This is not the time to go against each other at all.
Right,
Exactly.
to be divided within our own community. Yeah, because I definitely have experienced that too. Like these bright lights, like my husband is the light one. I'm chocolate. I'm brown. I'm getting twisted. And I've definitely, like you say, even with my own siblings, we're all different shades. And so, when I was younger, and they used to tease, and family would tease, and we grew up thinking that that's normal and it's fine, but then you realize that how it affects you mentally as you get older, and you become an adult, and you're like, yeah, I am beautiful. It doesn't matter what color. I'm like, we're all black. White people don't care how black you are. You black. What degree of blackness is? We're all black, so they all see us as whatever. So like you said, we need to band together. Like from the darkest to the lightest, like we're all black. Let's just embrace that and make that change.
Yeah, and stand together. That's the main thing.
Yes.
In what ways is our current society different from the society in 1960s? Now I know you wouldn't know that per se, like I wouldn't even know that per se.
But just for like what you've seen,
but
and
what you've seen and what we read. I mean, I was born in 76, so a little ways away from 60. But is there similarities or not? What do you think?
Similarities to the 60s. Yes, I guess broadly in terms of racism, definitely similarities. I mean, we're similarities. I mean, in terms of us being segregated, definitely. We're still very segregated, although there's nothing saying you can't walk over there. Like there's no big signs or nothing like that. Like it may have been back then, but redlining is a thing, and generationally that has affected all of us. Income, not having the income is a thing. And, the median income of Black people is much different than those who are white. And that's where the segregation comes into place. So it's very much the same in terms of segregation. In terms of just similarities. I think racism is, of course, still the same, but different. I'll say it's not exactly the same, but it's new, and it's kind of covert overall. Like it's the prison population. People aren't just looking and saying, most of those people are Black and brown. Like you aren't able to see that on face. Like you have to dig to find that. You have to do a FOIA to find out how many people are arrested in your city. It's very covert right now. And it's very in your face if you are Black, because you live in that every day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's one thing we were talking about with, we'll say President-elect, because Trump is still trying to fight it. Just let it go, Trump, let it go.
I know.
Soon to be president. Soon to be president.
It's funny at this point,
Oh, man, it's just ridiculous.
Man,
But we were talking about how Biden, now we don't know him personally. We don't know if he's ever said anything outwardly racist. We don't know like his true character. We'll have to get to know him over time. But from what we've seen so far, he seems to be all about getting this country together. And then we talked about the reality of it is that he's kind of old. And I think he just wants, especially with the pandemic, he wants us all to come together and like get this thing together. So with Trump, it was such that clear divisiveness. Like he would not outwardly denounce racism. He just he seemed to almost embrace it. Like it was like that storm that he thrived off of. And Biden just kind of like, we want everybody, like, let's not even think about that. It's the time to come together. It's all about unity. So that's how he seems outwardly to me. Is that what you've seen as well? Is that how you're feeling, with his administration?
A sense of like, we need to fix this. This is not right what's happening. And a sense of urgency.
For me with Biden, it's more of like he always say temperature drop, right?
Yep.
And that's what it's been for America. You know, even
Trump just had everybody hot.
even people
Ooh,
seem
yeah.
to be even more relaxed.
Relaxed. Yeah.
You know, even when he wouldn't concede, like he's not conceding, some people still tense because it's like you don't know what this dude gonna do. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
let's hurry up and get him out the White House, and we don't know if he's gonna start a war or what.
yeah.
You know?
Those election weeks. Oh my God, the week of election, the week before, and the week after. When I tell you,
man.
activists and Black people, I feel like we're like like, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
out? Like, what's about to happen? Just anxious and like upset, like sad, or just didn't know what to feel.
Yeah, my wife wouldn't even watch it. She wouldn't even watch it.
I was like, once it's all said and done, I'll see. But I don't want to keep out each state.
I tried.
I didn't want to.
I tried, and it just didn't work.
I'd be at work, wherever I go. I'm looking. She'd tell you every 5 minutes. I was on my phone, like
I didn't want.
I just kept doing like this.
Yeah,
like please don't let me open this up and he don't want. You know.
I know. Every morning I was like, this is weird. Like, why is this taking a week? It's very off.
Oh man, it was just taking too long. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So I know you was telling me that you had changed some stuff around as far as who you affiliated with, different things of that nature. Who are you helping, or is these organizations that you are part of, or are these organizations that you kind of became the spokesperson of, or how does that work?
Well, I know last time you talked to me, well, I mean, Michigan Liberation is one I started like organizing with. It's where everything started for me, policy work. So I'm still with them. The Oakland County core team is where I'm at with them. In terms of other orgs, Accountability for Dearborn, I'm one of the leaders in that organization. I also work in Dearborn as well. So, but yeah, so both of those are where I do my activist work. Anywhere else is, you know, me supporting different causes and trying to get the word out, just helping out how I can.
Okay. Yeah, because I was looking at it, I was like, man, when you had sent it, I was like, man, she do a lot.
Yeah, I you know, knowing different activists and things, I go and help out, you know, if I can. But in terms of where I'm completely focused, is Accountability for Dearborn and Michigan Liberation.
Okay.
What's the diversity like in Dearborn? I've been through there, but I don't really know, like, as far as what that looks like, you know, color wise on a color map. What does Dearborn look like? Is there like one group that seems to kind of overtake Dearborn more and that's not accounted for? What's that color map kind of look like for the population?
Dearborn is about 4% Black and majority white and Arab. But the census data doesn't properly reflect Arab people, so they're classified as white. But it is other information and things say at least 30%, you know, are Arab in Dearborn. But yeah.
Okay, Dearborn.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I don't know why I thought there were more Black people there. So yeah, they are like grossly underrepresented. So for sure.
Yeah,
because every time I go into Dearborn, it's mostly a lot of
Arab or
Arab.
Yeah, I know the South End is that's where a lot of Black people are. You know, where like University of Michigan Dearborn, that's where a lot of Arabs are. There's certain parts of Dearborn that's more Arab, more Black, and then other side is like completely white.
Yeah. So as far as what's your focus? I know it's the Dearborn thing right now. Is it, as a civil rights leader, is it something that you just go off of that time? Like, oh, something happened over here and they need somebody to come and be bold and speak. Is that how it's done as a civil rights? Do you wait like for something to happen, or you always reactive?
If someone needs help with, like if an org needs help or they ask, you know, then I'll jump in and help. But in terms of waiting, No waiting. I'm always going. I'm always doing. And for me, it's always been, Michigan Liberation is, I've always been with them. So, and always been with their Oakland County team, residing in Southfield. So with that, we did a lot of work, years of dedication, like at least 2 years dedicated to getting certain people elected and having conversations about things we're talking about now. So, for example, Karen McDonald was elected as prosecutor. And we have built that relationship over time, over the previous years. So now it's about making sure she follows up on those things that we talked about. And all those things that, all these relationships we have, making sure people follow up. So that's been a constant thing for me, just since the election has been over before. So that's constant. And some of those things are, ending the cash bail system. Also transparency on her end, being transparent and making sure people are being held accountable, making these things visible to people. So that's on that front. In terms of Dearborn, accountability for Dearborn, there's a lot of different things that are, we're trying to do with that, but it's making sure funds are going into the community, going into the right places, making sure the police isn't taking all the funds and like nobody else is considered. But it's about mainly about justice for Black lives, making sure Black people aren't mistreated, aren't over policed, arrested, things like that. But within that, there's little things, you got to do to get that to happen. So like 43% of the budget is for the Dearborn Police Department. And also, in terms of arrests, I know at least, I want to say 58% of arrests as of last year were Black people. And only 4% of the population is Black. And then within that, there's a border crimes team, a border initiative crimes team, and they focus on a border between Detroit and Dearborn. And majority of the arrests are done by them. Like at least half is them doing the arrests. And that's for the arrests for last year. Same with the citations. 47% of those receiving are Black, and there's like policing poverty is a thing there too. So if you can't afford something on your car, or if your light is out, like that's a big majority of like where the citations are coming from. So, seeing this and seeing that even like the numbers are really scary. I'll put it that way. And it took time to get that data, at least 3 months for them to even give it back to us. And we had to constantly coming at the mayor and city council, like we, have a right to this information and things like that. Between 2009 and 2019, arrests went from 27% all the way up to 58. So it's growing, and that can't keep growing. So it's a bit tough in Dearborn. Our main thing is trying to get the funds more into the community, and trying to make sure the police aren't just responding to every single thing. Those with mental disabilities, they respond to that. And at least there was 3 cases that, went mainstream, where it was someone who was Arab that experienced police brutality, had mental disabilities. And there were 2 individuals who were Black that were killed by police officers, and they both had mental disabilities. So it's a pattern of that too. One of the big things with accountability for Dearborn, we recently started a mental health team, and that team will focus on making sure that funds are redirected to people that can respond to mental disabilities the proper way. So a crisis team, or just a team to prevent crisis. That's being made a big thing, because in all reality, those most affected by mental disabilities are Black or are people of color. So we made that a effort as well.
Yeah, I know they talked about that in like all the other cities, like at the height of all these protests and everything. Even with George Floyd, I mean, they talked about, whether it's drug abuse long term, some things could have been a little off and they could have handled that crisis differently. I know they talked about putting some of those teams in place in other cities. And, you talked about funding and things like that. And I know that that's hard. So that's definitely something that needs to be looked at everywhere across the country.
Yeah, that's
Because you just keep seeing all of these cases where clearly, like, you watch these videos and you can see that something is going on with that person. They're not fully like what people say normal. There's some type of mental crisis going on that it definitely could be handled differently. No weapons need to be drawn. That crisis team, whatever that looks like, needs to be brought in to de-escalate the situation, at least get the person into a facility that treats that specifically instead of instant violence, drawing the guns, drawing the tasers. That's why is that the first response?
Yeah, like Elijah McClain, like same thing.
Yeah.
It's just way too many where it's like, why are you responding to this? We know for a fact, it's fact that there's doctors, there's psychiatrists, psychologists, there's so many people we know for a fact can do this. Why are we having it's just crazy. Where you have living, breathing examples of people handling this better, but you choose not to give that.
Yeah.
It's like, do you care at a point? It's like, do you really care then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think it's about. Do they even care to address it that way? Because we're pretty privileged. We live in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti Township area, which we don't see a lot of crime. We just don't. It's just that kind of a city. And our son is here and, we'll probably raise him here for a while, but I don't want it to be like a thing of we have to stay here out of fear for trying to branch out because it's safe and, being scared to move somewhere else. But it's like for the foreseeable future, that's what it's looking like. Because if you look at the ranks of where Ann Arbor is, it's like one of the safest cities. So we're kind of like in this little bubble. And so we kind of have to do reality checks, like look outside of our bubble, like, hey, there's stuff happening outside of our cushy little bubble where we're at, there things need to be addressed. But it just makes me wonder, like the police here, we haven't really had any issues all the times we've been. I've been here for the whole second half of my life, and he's just been in the area for like 10-ish years,
something like that.
So it's the way that they handle those types of things. Like I'm trying to think, were you with me that day? There was a woman, I was at a Little Caesars. There was a woman, I think she was having some type of mental crisis or something. She was kind of she was laid on the sidewalk.
Little Caesars?
Yeah, were you there?
Okay.
Were we there? It was an older white woman. I don't know if she was drunk on some type of substance. I don't know, but she was just laid out on the sidewalk. And now whether Ann Arbor has a thing about keeping the city clean or do they really care? Just the way that they handled her. The officer just came up to her and started talking to her, and he kind of put his hand on her. He's like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? We can't have you sleeping on the sidewalk. Are you waiting for the bus? Do you need some assistance? Like that type of the way he engaged, like I don't even know if he had his weapon on him. He
had it on him, but he didn't.
He just like came and talked to her, and he didn't call like back up and make a big scene. He just kind of asked if she needed assistance or what could he do, or did she need to get on a bus? Did she need money for something? Like just anything like that. And I don't know if the officers here are trained specifically in that, but just watching him handle that, it's like all of these cases can be handled that way, approaching that person with care to trying to address the need or what's going on mentally, trying to assess. And he was kind of just looking at her like, are you okay? And I could tell he was trying to look and see like if she was on something, or it was really gentle the way that he handled her. So
I mean, I've had a couple of things to happen in Ypsilanti area, but it wasn't like they wasn't rude or anything. They was just like, hey, because I had got off work at like 2:00 in the morning, so they looking like, what you doing?
Walking. Oh, when you were walking?
Yeah, okay. I was just walking. They looking. I'm like, look, I got my boots in my hand. I had steel toes. I'm just going to the house. And he was cool. He was just like, okay, we just had somebody out here robbing. We just wanted to make sure you was, good. And I'm like, hey, I'm good. I'm just going home. I live right here, and that was it. But it's places like Livonia, Royal Oak. It's places like this that I have my issues with. I didn't even have issues in Detroit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Most of my issues has been Royal Oak. And once you cross over into Southfield, that's a big area as well. once you cross that 8 Mile
Mm-hmm.
over into, as you already know, once you cross over there, don't nobody want to get caught past that bridge and not have their stuff together. So it's, you know what I mean? I guess it just depends on where you, because you can't say it depends on lifestyle when it comes to African American people. Because
you notice though,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, what I find interesting, because Ann Arbor is county, Washtenaw County, right?
Yeah,
correct.
We're Washtenaw County. Yeah.
What's interesting, just in terms of the election, you look at how it was this big push for Victoria Burton, who I love, Victoria Burton Harris. And then you look at Washtenaw County, Eli Savage, it was a push for him. It was a push in Oakland County for Karen McDonald in terms of prosecutors. You look at the area with the most Black people, Detroit, Senate areas, and you look at who didn't win the election. And it's like, so it like when you think of the most policed areas and you think of what's most policed, Detroit, areas around Detroit. And then you look at everywhere else and then you look at the election results and it's like, it makes sense in terms of like the way things are happening. It makes sense. You know, it's like, oh, the most Black people are in Detroit. Of course, Dearborn will have a border patrol team because they want to get Detroit. Like it makes sense, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's why,
but
y'all, I mean, that's how I view it. More money, more resources. The cops there probably have to have a college degree. I bet. In Novi,
we should look into that probably.
Yeah, because in Novi they do, and Novi is pretty well off. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so and there is not an emphasis as much as it is in Livonia, you know. I will say though, for the areas that have more money, I guarantee the police budget is still the same, where, you know, the most of the funds are going to the police. I guarantee that's the commonality between them.
So what's your stance now? I know the first time we talked and you were saying that I think you had said something like, frankly, I just want to see them abolished. What's your stance on it now? Is it the same? Do you still want to see the police abolished? Do you want to see something in place to replace the police, or what's your views on that?
I want to see the funds go to the community and not just to the police. Like, it's like the way the budget is set up in these cities. Like I do research in different cities. It's set up like the police is who we care about the most. Like, and that's not how it's supposed to work. I want it to be more of an emphasis of humanity and caring about people and the well-being versus caring about just the police. And the police has not cared about a lot of Black and brown people. Like, you can't deny that. So I just want to really see money put more into the community. Let's take the money and put it towards having people that can respond to mental health crises. Those individuals, it needs to be that. That's where funds need to go. We need to start putting it in the right place. I also feel like that accountability needs to happen. That's a big thing. We need to be able to hold people accountable.
That's true.
Qualified immunity prevents holding officers accountable. And as much as we may want to strip funds and all that, we should at least be able to have accountability right now. Like, you know, if we want to solve this problem, yes, let's solve this problem. But we should, in the meantime, be able to hold people accountable, because you hold us accountable. Like, that's just our system. Like, we hold people accountable. So it's just like, can we do the same for them if something wrong is done? And that's a big thing I want to see. I want to see more activists ask for qualified immunity to be ended, because that is something that I haven't seen as much of an ask as other things.
Yeah, I think they would, like you said, if they focused the funding on the citizens and taking care of the communities, you probably would need to do less policing, because the people are happy, the people are employed. And then as far as people who don't have anything to do, like we were talking about, like funding after school programs.
Mhm.
Or people who've just gotten out of prison. Why is it so hard for them to get a job? Like, I get that they committed a crime, they've done their time, now they're trying to re-enter society, but that's almost impossible. I've known so many people, I've had friends, family members, things that happen to them, especially if you get out of prison in your 50s or 60s. What are you supposed to do at that point? So not condoning it, but it sometimes is going to lead to them getting into situations that they didn't necessarily want to be in. But, well, I'm going to go rob this person, I can't get a job, I'm going to just go back to the drug life that I knew. If we had better resources for the community, there wouldn't need to be so much policing. So patrolling these things, because they'd have a job to go to, they'd have an after school program to go to. So I think they're not seeing that bigger picture. Like you said, just fund the police. They got the nicest cars, they all got new uniforms, they got, and I'm not saying they make millions of dollars, median salary, but still take some of that funding to put it into better in the community. And I think it would kind of equal itself out, and you wouldn't see as much of that.
Yeah, like this, put it into the community, care about the people. And like there was one time in Dearborn where the police were doing COVID tests for people. They were in charge of that. I'm like, why is the police the ones doing just things? Why are they doing the COVID test? Why are they doing these? They are not supposed to do that. So, it just needs to be a shift. Not only that, but among each other too. In Dearborn, there needs to be a culture change completely. There's a lot of anti-Black racism in particular that happens in Dearborn because of the history of Orville Hubbard. And the current mayor, his father was the police chief under Hubbard. So there's a constant pattern of people being in office who were of that lineage and keeping it going. So there needs to be a culture shift in government completely.
I think a lot of instances for me and the people I know that ran into bad situations with the police, even when I ran into some bad situations, I think a lot of it has to do with people skills or the ability to, like my wife was saying, identify with a threat versus a problem or a crisis or what I'm saying, whatever the case may be, because it's some cops, not all, but we can, and I just want to say that I know a lot of times we say bad apples, right? Oh, well, you got bad apples in everything that we do. That's a profession. We can't afford bad apples.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Is like, dude, you got so many people and lives in your hand. We can't afford bad apples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this cop messed up. He got afraid and he shot the guy. Okay. But if you never do anything, like you were saying, if you never do anything about, even if it was a mistake, something still had to be accountable. So if you just keep brushing everything under the rug, you get what you get now is a bunch of people just aggravated and, you know what I mean? And really ticked off about the situation. And it's by right to be, ticked off, because especially if you got kids or if you a man yourself or a woman with kids, whatever, even being a Black woman is 2 strikes, a woman and being Black, you know what I mean? So I would know what it's like to go through that. And matter of fact, since I'm on that, I mean, what's the, in your eyes, and when I ask both of y'all, in your eyes, what's the stark difference between, let's say, what I'm going through as just being a Black male versus a Black woman being a Black woman plus being a woman? What's the what do y'all think?
How much time we got? Where do we start? Well, I'll say for me, I can't speak for Ally, but for me, being married, I know Black women, we're like, so we're doing this, right? We have to not only uphold our man, but also dealing with our own trauma, our own being Black and being seen as some exotic sexual being by other races, or like and so we're trying to be the strong backbone for our children, our husbands, and then we also have our color on top of that. So we're discriminated against when we're going out there, and we're also trying to be this strong Black woman, when sometimes we don't want to be the strong upholding pillar. We want to be held. We want to be comforted. We want to seek therapy, but it's looked at as weak, or, you know, we can't. Self-care kind of goes out of the window being a Black woman. It's, you see like the t-shirts and the pictures, like strong Black women, like we all, and sometimes it's just like, man, this is exhausting. Like I can't, I don't want to be that all the time.
It's like what that does to you mentally. Always having to be strong all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, for me, like that's it's a lot in terms of for me. It's like being a Black woman, you know, constantly being, you know, you're labeled that strong Black woman, and it's cool to be strong. That's great, but sometimes you want to just be able to cry, be able to just feel weak. And with me, I have to remind my sister of that, my siblings. It's okay to not be strong all the time. It's okay to take time for you and just, you know, be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, you know, in terms of the workplace, seeing more men in leadership. It's bound to come with some things.
Oh yeah.
Certain things are said that are inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
There's sexism that happens, misogyny that goes on, and then it's within our own community. It's not only on the color line with white men, then it's within each other. There's, you know, when you look at who's applying to college and who's graduating, the most Black women are. And then you look at, so this is on relationship lines, on, you know, wanting to find someone who is Black and have as a partner. Mm-hmm. Black men are over incarcerated. Mm-hmm. So you look at that as reason for not a lot of Black men available to date, then women being the highest earners in terms of Black people, and having master's degrees and having higher degree ranks. There's that. So there's that piece. There's our bodies. So then there's that piece. You know, constantly being a discussion. You look in Louisiana, abortion rights to a large extent were banned. This is just constantly a conversation. I've never not seen that a conversation. You look at that, even with policing, you know, look in Livonia or Dearborn, we're way more policed than white women, like more than half. So there's that. So there's a lot of pieces. I always say if a Black woman is at the forefront and in charge of solving the problems, all the problems will be solved if we're solving a Black woman's problems, because we're solving, you know, our problems where people want to have a say on our bodies. People want to profit off of women's bodies. So we're solving that. The color issues, we're solving that too. In the workplace issues with that, we're solving that too. Because we have two struggles. So personally, I would like to see a Black woman president and many more Black female leaders to address more than one thing, like address all these things. We can put all these things on the table and start making these things go away.
I think for men, I know for me, I can speak for me, I can't speak for all men, but I know for me, I think the most thing is feeling that at time, even when my license straight, I got insurance, don't really need to look over my back, but I do, right? Because as a Black man, you always feel hunted, right? Whether it be by your own, whether it be by the cops, whether it be you just feel haunted wherever you go.
At your job.
You know, even at your job, as soon as you begin to rise, and if you Black and they, you know, they feel like you rising up, they're gonna try to deserve it. They don't want that. You know what I mean? And so that's when they start throwing, you better get to education, you know, you need this, you need that. And then when a Black man do go through that and get all that, and he walks in and say, hey, I got all this now, there's still an issue. And so it's kind of one of those things like, okay, well, let me go to college to better myself, but I still got to fight the same struggle and work 10 times harder to even get advanced or to get a knowledge. And you, as a Black male, that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? We don't have, for me, I don't have that other side of, okay, look at that Black man, you a Black man, and you a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't get that, but women do, because it's like, oh, they're gonna put her in charge and she a woman, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, that's messed up.
Yeah.
It's one thing I say, like, it's both our struggles, but it's like with a black man, it's like, who has y'all's back? You know, black man's supposed to have a woman's back. You know, that's what people say, but who has the black man's back? And then who can the black man lean on? There's issues in terms of, you know, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
It's a big thing I absolutely hate. And it's not just among black community, this is among every race. But I hate it more with us because I really care about us and our well-being, because it's just what's happening to black people we don't deserve. So, you know, it's like wanting to be emotional, you know, wanting just a hug, like it's seen as wrong. Like it's seen as, if you want to cry or say, you tell somebody I love you, you know, you're a good person, I love you, man. It's weird, considered weird to people. And I have to have these conversations with my brothers and family. And it's like, it's okay. Like all the struggles a black man faces, like you get to lean on somebody at a time. You can imagine not ever being able to just be sad or cry or you know, feel and just not be strong. Like if we can, as black people, we don't always have to be strong all the time.
It's the same thing like I was saying about therapy. Like it's, you know, with women, I think we're quicker to seek it, whereas men, especially black men, like that is absolutely, that's a no-no.
Like it's
but like you need that outside unbiased person, you know, somebody to talk to. And so getting rid of the stigma of being able to self-care and your mental well-being.
Yeah, that's why the emphasis on the mental health team in Dearborn, and also I forgot to say this, Michigan Liberation, a statewide initiative will be focusing on mental health and making sure the proper responses go to that. But in terms of next year, but that's a big thing people overlook. We need to start looking at that more specifically with us, because we should really be the first people seeking it. Like we should. We should be the first people seeking therapy, all that. We like deserve it. Like we should be trying to get that and better ourselves.
Yeah, I know they have Taraji P. Henson. She has a foundation, her and her friend has started. They're trying to get, because she talked about when she sought therapy, she had a lot of traumatic things happen in her life, but she sought therapy. But what their organization does is looking for Black therapists throughout the country, because some people feel like, and you know, it's a lot of it is true, you want to speak with someone who's had your experiences or who can relate on this level, where you go to speak to your therapist and, you know, like I'm talking to this white woman, she doesn't really know what I'm talking about. As a woman, she can relate, but not as a Black woman. She's never been in so
you want somebody comfortable.
Their organization, and I forgot the name of her website, but if you search her name, like it'll show. But yeah, so they put it out there, and she's always posting on like her Instagram, her social media about Black therapists, like trying to get people to go into that field. And like you said, taking care of us, we have to take care of us and worry about us. So I think that's awesome that she's doing that, trying to make sure that that's at the forefront. Seeking Black therapists, having young kids go to school for that, and really trying to broaden that and help us as a people so we can be well-rounded, already dealing with the struggles of being in this country. That's one less thing that we would have to worry about.
Well, you know, what helped me going back to what Ally was saying as far as what do a man, and as a man,
you need,
before I had my wife, you tend to take stress out, and you take self-medicate. You do whatever you have to do to just try to remain balanced, if that makes sense as a Black man. I was, and it's sad to say this, but I was one of the lucky ones that had an active father figure. You know, my father, I don't want to say father figure, but my biological father in my life, and always, even to this day, on my head about stuff. So if I didn't have that, it'd probably be a whole nother ball game, right? So, and I think this is what's important. I think every man, whether they married, unmarried, has to have somebody to talk to, right? It was certain things that I didn't talk to my dad about. You know, even though we was close, I was like, no, I ain't telling him that. And so it was like I go somewhere else whether it be, in my case, whether it be a pastor or an elder. But if a person is not in church or whatever, you got to find somebody that can ground you, if that makes sense, whether it be a church, whether it be an uncle or whatever, whoever can ground you. That's what need to be done. I mean, it's easy for me as a preacher and a pastor to go, yeah, just pray about it.
That's not everybody's
But that's not everybody's belief. So, but what I do believe on, whether it's your belief or not, that you need a foundation, you need something to stand on. That's important. But I just wanted to say that because I do believe man has to have. Because my wife tell you, I'll cry in a minute. I don't care. You know what I mean? So
that's good. Gotta cry sometimes.
Hey, I don't care. My dad used to always say, "Real men cry." So that's what I tell her all the time. I'd be like, "Hey, you know how men?" Because we still try to be macho with it, right?
Yeah.
Even after we be like, "Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to be all crying."
Right. Yeah.
She'd be like, "No, it's okay. It's all right."
Yeah, everybody cry. Yeah, as much as this world put on us as Black people, like, we can cry sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. So since one of the ending questions is, this is something I ask everybody that comes on the show, is what I don't know enough about to ask you that you want the audience to know. Because of course I don't know everything about you, but it might be some things you're working on. It might be some things you want to expound on, and this would be the time to do so at this.
Okay. Things to expound on. I will say, pay attention to accountability for Dearborn's Twitter. That's at Dearborn account, where we're going to be having a data town hall on December 19th. And there's going to be some great speakers there, some from Survivors Speak, as well as Michigan Liberation. We'll be talking about, the police data we received between 2010 and 2019, specifically calls to service. So different things that police shouldn't be responding to, mental health crises, for example, police responding to situations in schools. We'll have speakers speaking to that kind of thing. In terms of other things regarding me, I guess pay attention, and you can look forward to more mental health centered efforts.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental health centered efforts. So a lot of my work, in terms of my work, is making sure the community, making sure humanity over harm is centered.
Yeah.
Making sure the community gets the resources needed in order for us to strive and be the best. Also making sure people aren't responding to mental health crises, to make sure the right people respond and that we have the care we need on that. So look forward to more of that. And I would say people definitely need to get involved more locally. Start demanding that things are transparent with you in your community. Start, doing those FOIA requests, doing the research on the city and seeing who gets what happens here and there. Just start asking questions.
Okay. You have anything you wanted to ask?
No, I was going to say, so we are connected with Ally on Facebook through Breathe, of course, and we'll make sure, especially that coming up, if she has something going on, make sure that it's in the group that people can see that. So
she posts in the group.
Yeah. So it'll be in the group. And so we can have people look out for that. And where they want to be a part of that town hall, just to kind of like see how
learn and
learn. And then in their own, whatever city you live in, like, hey, that sounds like something I want to be involved in where I live. Even if you don't live in Dearborn, like that needs to be something that we're doing in all of our communities. Like I said, even for us with Ann Arbor, like, even though it's not like a whole big thing of crime or other things like that, our police are not perfect. Things are not perfect in Ann Arbor. So we definitely can be looking out for those types of things in our city as well. So everyone can learn from that to see how you can be involved, what those meetings are, what site you need to look for your county and things like that.
Yeah. Everywhere should have transparency. So for sure.
And I'll make sure I want the audience to know too, all your links, your Twitter, and I'll put that at the bottom of the video. I mean, you can say it if you want to, but I'm going to put it at the bottom of the video as well, so they can just go and click on your Instagram or whatever the case may be. Because you had sent that information to me, so I'll just put that. I'll just put that in the comments right before we post that original video from BreatheLive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That'll work.
All right. Well, it was nice having you on, and I just want to say, hey, keep up the good work. I mean, it is growth, even from the last time that I've talked to you. You know, you seem more like I'm just ready to get this. You know, because like the first time I saw you was just steamrolling, like, hey, I'm just about to. but this time is, and I think everybody was, not just you. It was
that time. Yeah.
It was just a heightened time. And now you can tell everybody, like with you, talking into you, everything is focused, right? Everything is, because everything done kind of died down. So it's like, okay, let me get into this lane and do my part here.
Thing at a time.
You know, so because when it first happened, you'd be trying to take over the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so many things.
And then you realize, you'd be like, I can't do all this. You know what I mean? I'll be passed out trying to do all this.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But no, keep up the good work. Proud of you. We both very proud of you. Like I said, everything is positivity on your Facebook. I haven't followed you. I think you're on Instagram, but I haven't really been on Instagram as much. But on Facebook, I see you doing it. You doing it. And I just want to say, we need people like you. We need more people like you. And thank you for doing what you do to help all of us.
Bringing awareness to everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for having me on. Thank you, guys.
Hey, no problem. And hopefully we'll have you on again, and then we'll have some more people with you. But I get to do a panel.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
that's something we're looking at next. I definitely want you to be a part of that.
Okay.
And plus, I like staying updated on what people is doing and different things of that nature.
Maybe we can have something for like women of color and what they're doing. That'll be a good one. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, that'd be
different
cool.
things of that nature. Yeah. So women of color, I won't be on that one though. I'll let her host that one. Y'all ain't getting me on there by myself. But yeah, so thank you very much for being on the show. And like I said, we appreciate you. Did you want to say anything before we?
No, that's it. Like I said, we were just making sure we're following her links and what she's got going on. Like I said, especially for the awareness for Dearborn and what's going on with that. So just making sure that we're looking out.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Hey, no problem. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.